Welcome everybody, we just got through the Nintendo Direct. We watched it live on twitch.tv/EPN. Thank you to everybody that joined me while we watched Nintendo just throw blast after blast after blast of game information. Started with Pikmin 4 and they gave us a nice little taste of the new gameplay. They let us see that there's going to be a dog-like creature that will be able to bust through walls and pull big monsters around with them, which looks pretty useful and like a nice addition to Pikmin. We got a look at Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, which has a beautiful art style. Also very impressed by a game called Deca Police, which I want to know more of. Has a kind of a turn-based combat style to it, but aesthetically, I got an Astral Chain kind of vibe, like a procedural cop thing where you have to focus on this sci-fi Tokyo and cruise around and solve crimes and then get into battles and stuff. Looks pretty cool. We also got another closer look at Bayonetta Origins, and we got to see a little bit more of the gameplay there. This game still looks a little strange to me, I do have to admit. It doesn't fit with what I know of Bayonetta. What I do like, though, is that they are extending out the lore and they're going to give us a lot more detail on the backgrounds of these characters and give us a sense of how big this world can really be, which is cool. I love the Bayonetta franchise. I wasn't a huge fan of Bayonetta 3, but I love the Bayonetta franchise. So hopefully Bayonetta Origins really kicks ass, and it's coming out pretty soon. We saw some DLC for Splatoon 3, and that was a little bit vague, but all of the trailers and all of the release information that Nintendo ever puts together around Splatoon usually is a little bit vague, but we're going back to Inkopolis from the first Splatoon game, and there's going to be some cosmetic enhancements and additions, and it all interfaces with the Splatoon 3 overworld, which is pretty darn cool. And then they also teased in the Wave 2 of the Splatoon 3 DLC is a much more mysterious experience, which looks like it's going to be single-player focused. It's called Side Order, and I don't know anything about it because they're always vague with Splatoon stuff, but it looks cool. Those games are always really fun. We also got to see a little bit more of Illusion Island. This is the Disney game starring Mickey Mouse and friends, made by D-Lala, who made the Battletoads game, and it looks great. It's definitely got a hand-drawn art style to it. It reminds me of Rayman Legends. I don't know quite who the market is for that game, though, because kids aren't really that hip to Mickey Mouse stuff. I can only go by my own daughter. She doesn't really watch Mickey Mouse cartoons or anything, but we do love going to Disneyland, and I think if Disney is going to get kids to pay attention to Mickey Mouse and friends, they should be making a lot of video games. So maybe this is a step in that direction, and hopefully the game is good. It looks cool. We saw some more expansion content for Fire Emblem Engage, featuring a lot of famous Fire Emblem characters. I can't believe how fast they are generating content for that game. It's already a massive game, and there's a lot of stuff coming. There's a ton of value in Fire Emblem Engage. It's an incredible game. You definitely should watch my review. They teased us with a little bit more beautiful footage for Octopath Traveler 2. I'm already sold. I can't freaking wait for that game. Octopath 1 was sensational. We saw a little bit of a new remaster or remake of Katamari Damacy. It's We Heart Katamari, which was the sequel to the original Katamari Damacy. They've remade that. I think I've got this right. Katamari games, they're all jumbled up in my brain a little bit like a Katamari ball, but hopefully the game turns out great. I remember playing Reroll on the Switch and thought, it's okay. It could have been tuned a little bit nicer. It was okay. It was great to revisit, but it could have played even a little bit tighter, a little bit better. So maybe this remake will deliver on that front and be the best of the Katamari experiences so far. Wonderful franchise, though. Really cool games. And I think, it's been so long since Reroll, but so long since the original game came out that this is cool that Bandai Namco is seeing real value in that and bringing it out to a new audience. And hopefully it gets picked up. Get it? Okay. We also saw a little bit more of Sea of Stars, that retro-looking RPG with the beautiful music, and that looks awesome. Definitely a lot of retro-flavored releases and reveals in this Nintendo Direct, and that is also exemplified by Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot, which we now know is finally going to be released in April. This is a collection of the original 2 Advance War games that came out for the Game Boy Advance, which I absolutely adored, and many of you do too. And we're finally going to get it all up-resed and beautiful HD graphics with cool cut sequences on the Nintendo Switch. But speaking of Game Boy Advance, I think the highlight of the show For me, at least. And yes, that's even including a nice, meaty taste of the gameplay in The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which was great to see, don't get me wrong. But the highlight of the show for me was that we are finally going to be getting Game Boy and Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games. Oh, baby! Yes! Woo! That's great! Yes!
Game Boy games are being added to Nintendo Switch Online.
Nice! They're available now. You're probably not watching this video because you're playing Game Boy games on your Nintendo Switch right now, but they're available right now and more are coming, so they're being added to the libraries of titles that you can already access on Nintendo Switch Online plus Expansion Pack. You only need Nintendo Switch Online to get Game Boy games. If you have the Expansion Pack, you get Game Boy Advance games, and I haven't downloaded anything yet because I'm making this video for you right now, but I can't freaking wait. Game Boy Advance! Yes! Oh, yes! Oh, yeah! To see how these games look on my Nintendo Switch OLED screen. I've been begging for this to happen, and it's finally happened. And the other massive, massive reveal is that Metroid Prime is finally on the Nintendo Switch. It's a remaster of the original game. It is also available right now on the Nintendo Switch eShop, or you can choose to buy it physically if you'd prefer to have the game that way. And let me tell you, Metroid Prime is one of the best video games ever made, so you definitely want to experience this. And we didn't get anything on Metroid Prime 4, we didn't get anything on a new Star Fox. We had a nice little montage of a bunch of different games at the end of the Direct, like Blanc, which is coming up very soon. But the reveal of Metroid Prime on Switch, huge, and the reveal of all of these Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color games on Nintendo Switch Online plus Expansion Pack, absolutely incredible. This was a stellar Nintendo Direct with tons of surprises, lots of stuff that made me jump up and down. You can tell from how much I'm smiling, I can't wait to download this stuff onto my Switch. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you thought of the Nintendo Direct in the comments down below. We'll see you soon, and until then, play forever.